Hello and welcome back to the Smoke Room. We'll be continuing where we left off in William's route. So, last we saw, something is happening to Marcy Greene. She does not look well, and she's bleeding. And there may be a possible connection between her husband's disappearance and her, but we don't know yet. We're about to find out, if anything. So, yeah. Obviously, a big disclaimer that if you're turned off by blood, there's gonna be blood. You won't see it here on the screen, obviously, but you won't be seeing a character bleeding, but you will be hearing that a character is in distress. Not only that, but if the subject of pregnancy and miscarriages affects you in any way, then perhaps you might want to skip this video. That should sort of spoil what's gonna happen, but yeah. So big content warning. If you're squeamish against blood, if you feel particularly strong about the subject of women being abused, and if you do not like to hear about miscarriages and things like that, then perhaps skip this video. Or just leave it playing in the background if you want so that I still get the views. But, just don't pay attention. Just lower the volume. Yeah. There's nothing too bad on the screen. But, you will hear about some potentially upsetting stuff. So yeah, this is the warning. Yeah. Anywho, well, without further ado, let's continue. I still can't believe Todd spilled the beans on Huxley. If Marcy falls through, or we can't find any evidence of where the gun went, we're out of leads and probably out of time. I'm pretty sick of carrying around this pistol. Usually a weapon alone wouldn't connect this many people. If we're the sort to believe in curses, I'd have this thing melted down after the conclusion of this investigation. I'd leave that up to Marcy, but she's not looking too good. I come to the part of the road that's just a three-way junction. East to downtown, west to Peyton, south to the railway tracks. If there were a road directly north, it'd be at Hendricks Manor. Sooner or later, I'm going to have to investigate there. Even if she's gonna be there. I wonder what sort of game he's playing with her. Did he put her there to keep me away, or did he put her there because he knew that I'd be too stubborn to resist an investigation? Up ahead I see something bright sticking out of some of the rocks. It's a discarded gum wrapper. Tutti Frutti? Huh. I don't recall ever seeing Marcy chewing much gum. And Huxley was usually too busy with a bottle. This doesn't look old. Makes you wonder who's been putting this stuff in their mouths. Afternoon, lawman. I take a big step backwards. Christ on a cracker. Ain't you a sneak? Wouldn't be satisfied with myself if I wasn't. That's enough tomfoolery. This path's something of a detour from the main roads. What's a fellow like you doing all the way out here? Truth be told, I was looking for you. Looking for me? And how did you know I was going to be here? Trailed ya. Trailed me? Bit suspicious to admit that, yeah? More than a bit, but I'm impatient. Why come there's such a lack of bounties posted up in this area? A man's gotta eat, as well as wet his whistle. You look plenty well fed to me. And I regret to inform you that we're a bit of a podunk. Not a whole lot of high-profile criminals to apprehend around here, so not much need for any bounties. That tale's a little bit different from the ones I hear. He plucks a piece of grass off of the side of the road and twirls it between his claws. Your family's selling off houses. Your co-workers are all up in arms. And now, a banker's turned up dead for sure. Eavesdropping on us, were you? Troubling times, Mr. Ayers. What do you want, stranger? I think you missed the part where I told you that I'm very food motivated, Sheriff. You give me a bounty, and I'll be happy to deliver a head. Fuck off. 2 heads within a day, and they can even be alive if you're one of those bleeding heart types. Only things that's bleeding in my stomach from the ulcer you gave me. Scram. Oh, come on now, don't be such a poor sport. I know how much y'all rely on bounty hunters, so there's no need to be so prideful. I've helped plenty of lawmen in the course of my career. And how many of them are dead or scandalized now? Only the ugly ones. Charmers don't last long around here. Who says I plan to stick around that long? I just need a few names, a few pictures, and a fatter wallet, and I'll be merrily out of your fur. I'll let you know names once I have some. He whistles. I didn't take a man with that many scars for being a slacker. I'll take an extra nap today and think of you. You can't be dumb enough to turn down help when it's sitting in front of you. You're stumbling around, and I'm hungry. And bored. Let's come to an understanding. I need information more than I need a maniac pumping lead into suspects right now. That's always part of the job. No killing, no violence. Do we have an understanding? Unfortunately. Okay then. I unclench my fist and show him what's inside. Is this your gum wrapper? He blinks at the packet I hold out for him, more than a little derisively. Sure ain't. That's all I've got to go off right now. You gotta be funning me. Do I look like a funny sort to you? Fine. I can work with that. What's my rate? An eagle if you tell me something useful. He whistles. Not a bad start for just a little word of mouth. I'm not bullshitting you, you know. I'm good. Guess we'll see. I walk away, leaving him to the weeds and the creeks as I push past infinite pine trees back in the direction of the house. But I hear a small crunch where I thought I'd hear nettles. I look below my feet and I can tell that what I'm stepping on isn't any plant debris. It looks like a small tube with a spool on the end. Weird place for something like this to be. Probably worth noting. Once I'm done sketching it, I put it in my pocket. I take a look at my watch. It's 6 p.m. there, so it's 4 p.m. here. Time to head back. Marcy Greene inhales slowly, then lets out a shriek that goes well beyond the boundaries of her property into Lake Emma. I can't tell if she's screaming at us or from pain. Todd Crab walks several feet away before scrambling to his feet, chest heaving. Marcy crouches, squeezing her eyes shut, looks into the sky, and yowls. Birds above us call as they disperse. Ma'am, are you okay? I look at Todd because I can't believe he just asked that, and he looks at me in a daze. She cries out, sinking to the ground on her knees as a pool of something dark expands below her. Oh shit! That's... I only realize right now what's happening. What the hell do you think you're doing? She's in labor! The fuck you mean she's in labor? I don't think I stuttered. Will lets out a slew of curse words. Todd, go inside her house and get her a clean sheet. Okay. He runs a little stiffly as his thick tail trots behind him. Will holds Miss Greene, who's shaking violently. Deep breaths, ma'am. Help me move her, Sam. I try to get her under one of the pine trees with the most shade, but the coppery smell of blood is making me dizzy. She's leaving thin, splattering trails as she moves. Do you have a midwife? She looks at me like she's lost and shakes her head and starts crying again. I hear Todd's footsteps as he races back with what looks like the tablecloth. I check beneath her dress and gag from the sour smell. Her undergarments are soaked. We have to get these off of her. Can't we do that, ma'am? She nods, still shaking. Todd looks at me like I'm the one who needs to do it. I shake my head and jerk it towards her, giving him the hardest stare I might have given somebody in my life. Okay. All right. Todd crouches, grimacing from the smell as he puts his paw below. I hear the undergarments squelch as he pulls them down, sticking slightly to the skin. I can tell from the marks on the sides of her legs that she has an infection. Don't try to push too hard. She shakes her head, tears still welling out of her eyes. It's okay, Miss Greene. You're gonna be a mommy. The rat starts wailing again. More blood splashes to the ground. I think I see a head. Miss Greene screams again. I definitely see a head. Will holds Miss Greene's hand and she squeezes it. Now, there's a body. Hold it while it comes out. I am. Make sure that the cord isn't wrapped around its neck. Is that not supposed to happen? The baby can get strangled on it if you're not careful. It's sliding out pretty easy now. I can see it too. It's bloody and hairless with chunks of pus coating the body and encased in a thin film of mucus. But it's small. Very small. Do we need to cut the cord? No need. It's good to let the blood flow through the cord and the rest comes out later. It usually detaches by itself. How do you know that? Because I've seen this happen enough at work. But something's wrong. Will knows it too. There ain't any sounds. Will looks stone-faced and Todd looks scared. I just cover my mouth, unable to look away from the scene of Miss Greene trembling while the sour-smelling thing attached by a fleshy cord below her legs doesn't breathe. Will hangs his head and pinches his nose, and then looks at me. We need to keep her awake. She's lost a lot of blood. I knew that they were dead. I knew it. You don't have to worry about that now, Miss Greene. But it's all my fault. It's not. These things happen all the time. Trust me, I see it happen all the time. But it is, though. If it would have lived, he would have taken it. What? Taken it like he took me. Miss Greene? If he was dead, then I could have had this one. But now there won't be another one. Forever again. For never again. For never again. Her eyelids flutter before they close. Stay with me, Miss Greene. Todd, we'll go get her something to drink. Sit with her and keep her talking, Sam. I'm gonna go boil some water. He didn't look back at us when he stood up, and as his tail swayed behind him, prickling. I shake her shoulders to try to wake her up again. For the love of God, what is wrong with this place? I stumble around the kitchen that's cluttered with half-filled cups and soiled dishes, looking around for the biggest pot I can find. I open the cupboard to see what we have to work with. Mostly sealed jars of perishables. And a jar of something else. I've seen this root before. Did she really think that this was a better fate for them than living with her husband? I'm afraid to think about the things Huxley Greene might have been doing that I didn't know about. But there's no time for that now. There's a big enough pot below her stove. Todd knows exactly where the cups are. He finds a large jug of water in the pantry and turns the knob to let it flow. I turn on her sink and let the water begin to flow. Todd runs out with the cup in hand. I'm surprised but thankful that she has a gas stove, so I don't have to light a fire or stoke any coals to get started. I have to find a place where Marcy can lie down. Her couch is so covered with these goddamn dolls that she has no place to sit. Upsetting her further will just add stress. I go to her bedroom. Thankfully, it's a little less cluttered than her living room. But her bed. More dolls? No, that's just one big lunk beneath the sheets. I don't know if I can take it if it's just a big doll that looks like Huxley. Thankfully, it isn't. I think she mentioned it's her grandmother's burial shroud. She shouldn't be sleeping with this. It's covered in mold. No wonder she's sick. I start to push it off the bed, but it has a weird feel to it. It lands wetly on the ground and makes a noise that makes me want to gag. This bed is unsanitary. She can't sleep here. Living room it is then. I remove each and every one of the dolls from the couch and place them on the only surface left, which is the table. Sam and Todd bring her in, and she's holding a pink stained sheet wrapped up in a swaddle. Here. I direct them to the couch. Marcy's still dripping from her legs. Bedroom. No, Marcy, it's not clean. She holds up the sheet. I want to put her with the others. With the others? Oh, God. Todd takes it from her and disappears into the bedroom. Thank you. Always such a good boy. Sam leans into me, whispering in my ear. The afterbirth wasn't whole when it came out. I feel the fuck roll out of me like it's a gasp. Marcy, where's your doctor? Medicine? I've had my fill of medicine. We already know everything, so there's no need to hide anything from us anymore. You're very sick and you need help. Todd comes out of the room looking a little queasy. I put her on the bed. Marcy whimpers again. Okay, that's enough. Let's talk in the kitchen. They both follow me. Okay, this is really bad. Just having access to some ice would be enough to reduce her swelling. But I know she has an icebox. You do? She used to make tarts. The kind with frozen fruits. Think real hard, Todd. Where did she used to go before she made those desserts? Well, here in the kitchen. But it was always Mr. Greene who'd get the fruit. I jump in the air and listen. These boards sound hollow to ya? They do. Help me move the table. All three of us give it a good shove, letting the dolls fall off as we move them. There's a rug beneath the floor that matches the color of the wood pretty well. I bend down and give it a tug. Well, I'll be. To think that was here the whole time. I think we might have found where they kept the ice. Is it locked? Not securely. I point at the hinges. Doesn't look like the kind of lock designed to keep anybody out. More like the kind of lock that keeps you out long enough to get caught trying to break in. I shake the lock and chains to show off how noisy the setup is. Todd flinches. I grab the hammer I saw under one of the counters earlier and hold it against the hinge. I think I have more than enough excuses to do this by now. The top of the planks crunch as the hinges come off. Well, wait. What if you don't find an icebox down there? Then I'll make some repairs and issue my apology. I position the hammer again, putting my body weight down on it until I hear it crunch. The trapdoor, made of planks, flips out easily from the top, rattling. I guess Mr. Greene thought he was slick. It worked on me. Yeah, that's not that surprising. Mostly because you don't tend to expect something as eccentric as this from a banker. We climb down to an iron set of stairs that wobble as we move beneath it. It's dank and dirty down here. There's plenty of cobwebs, and I'm sure I saw a few things crawl under the floor out of the corner of my eye. I see a dangling light bulb and pull the string. There's not much down here but a tall, black chest and a wooden crib, painted white. Well, what's something like this doing down here? I slide my fingers along it, expecting to find grime or dust from being in storage. It's clean. There's a doll here too. This looks expensive. It's definitely not like the other ones we've seen around the house. What's in the icebox, Todd? Well, ice. And? Huckleberries. I follow him to it, and he opens it. The icebox is separated into different sorts of shelves. Hey, William? Yes, Todd? That really doesn't look big enough to store a body. I can't disagree with him there. There's far less down there than I would have expected. If Huxley had plans for this space, it looks like he never got down to them. Is this another dead end? I sure hope not. The two of them stare at me as if they're waiting for what to do next. And their close proximity in such a cramped space makes something new dawn on me. Now, don't take this personal, but did y'all roll around in the hay together or something? You both smell really strong right now. They both look away. We're both really stressed, William. I think we should talk about the doll. Todd is unusually silent. Yeah. And the crib. Okay. Fine. I'll pick this up later at a better time. So, the crib and this doll. Todd, are you sure you never saw Marcy go down to the cellar? Cross my heart. Huxley doesn't mark me as a fellow who'd play with dolls. Hell no, he wouldn't. So, why is it down here? Why don't we go find out? We climb up the stairs and head back to Marcy's kitchen. Say, Sam? Dora knows doctors, right? People who are close enough, yeah. Would she help in this case? I suspect that she would. She'd respond better to you than she would to me. Right. I could go get help? I think it would be a good idea to go fetch her. Be careful about who else you bring. If a licensed doctor saw any of this, it wouldn't be good for her. Yeah, okay. Sam pokes around the hall of the kitchen with his head, giving Marcy another cautious look before disappearing out the front door. Me and Todd head back to the living room. She's staring up at the ceiling, holding her paw up, feeling one of the yarn streamers tacked to her walls, letting it slip through her digits, coiling them up. Marcy. She doesn't respond to my voice. Miss Greene? Is it okay if I give you this? Her eyes widen as her mouth broke into a smile. Penelope. I bet you thought that I had forgotten all about you. Is Penelope the doll's name? No. That was my sister. The doll is hers. Did she give it to you for safekeeping? It doesn't look cheap. Because it wasn't. I stole it because I was jealous. But I was going to give it back. I just never got the chance to. None of us dare ask why. Why do you think that Mr. Greene had this locked up in the cellar? Because he knew I wanted it. He'd know if I tried to mess with the chains. But why would he put it down there? Same reason he always did. He knew little girls like dollies. She takes a look at the porcelain and gives it a kiss on the cheek. In the dark and the quiet, it's safe and warm. Sometimes you have to lose yourself in the coziness. And the idea of not moving anymore isn't so bad. Because you're pretty as a picture and not quite so cheap. Miss Greene, what does this have to do with anything? I'm just repeating what he said before he took me away from everybody I knew. I think I understand now that he just liked to hurt me. Not because I think it made him happy, but because it made him feel more alive. It made him feel more alive than me as he took more from me, and all the while saying he was doing me the greatest favor. Well, I just want you all to know that he wasn't doing that. I just think... We flinch as she goes cross-eyed and retches loudly. Red vomit shoots into the dark water we cleaned her with. I don't know if she's going to be okay, or if she's got much time left. Miss Greene, don't push yourself. But I... want... to... won't let him hurt people no more. Not even... dead. Miss Greene. He had the gun. Went into the carriage. Red... Fox... Red... Fox? That's what I needed. She vomits again, brighter red this time, and her breath quickens. Todd, I want you to stay with her while Sam brings help. Yes, sir. Once I leave the cloying smell of that house behind, the tension in my shoulders loosens up. The general store is probably closing up by now. I can usually find Mr. Burns and his son there after hours. As I walk on over, I mull over the things that I'm going to say and how I'm going to approach this. I knock on the front door with the back of my wrist. Ralph greets me at the door. Don't you know it's closing time? It's the sheriff. And I don't care if you're George Albert V. We're tired. Come back tomorrow. I smell the scent of shoe polish and lemons before I see Murdoch Burns at the door, giving me a curious look. It's probably better that he came to the door and not his father. He's the one that I work with most. William? Afternoon. This is a bit of a bad time. We have our hands full. I can tell by the sheen on his neck that he had a long day. Somehow I doubt that it was anything like mine, though. I'm afraid it's urgent. How urgent? Urgent enough for me to make a few arrests if I have to. The rat glares at me and the fox's eyebrows lift. But I know that you're more reasonable than that. That urgent enough? Murdoch's brows furrow in confusion. Fine, come in. The fox opens the door and the rat exhales. Take me somewhere that we can talk where it's just the two of us. The dark room will work for that. I feel Ralph's eyes on me as Murdoch walks me to a dinky little closet and opens the door. It smells strongly of chemicals and him in here. Tell me where this is from. I pull out the cartridge I found on Marcy's Road. That's a Kodak film canister. The kind our store uses? The kind your cameras use, right? Yes, but we have several. Found it near Huxley Green's property in the woods by the road. Can't recall them having many pictures or a camera for that matter. They never purchased any photography either. At least, not to my knowledge. Where were you the day of the poker game? I was at the store all day. Then I ate supper by myself before going over to Mr. Tippett's apartment. You didn't eat at home? Not since it wasn't a Sunday or a special occasion, no. Based on when Jimmy had the gun, Huxley had to have taken it from him either past the afternoon of the riot or any part of the day before the poker game. That's not a long time for somebody to get killed and have their gun taken from them. I saw Murdoch most of Thursday. I didn't see him at all on Friday before the poker game, though. He's clean unless he's lying. I have to wonder if that's the case. Or if he's covering for any of his family. So, you didn't see your parents on Friday night? I didn't. Or on Thursday after all of the excitement? Nope. He winces as he rolls his neck. How's your shoulder? It stings still. You were dressing it every day? Is there something that you're trying to get at with this? I thought you said that this was urgent. I needed somewhere nobody would listen. I don't like being scared like that. I'm sorry. Today has been too much. You're forgiven then. And I had to go through a lot to get this far. Who in your family drives the company carriage? Mostly my father. Sometimes my mother. How about your sisters? Holly's taken it on joyrides before, but she's not supposed to. Do you know where any of your family had been on those 2 nights? I have my guesses, but no. Past 6 o'clock, my laugh is mine. If I ran into them before all of that, they'd have favors and chores for me, and I try to keep that all to the workday. Although, do keep me waiting, Fox. Cordelia Hendricks threw a party on Thursday night. I saw the invitation. Interesting. Is this all leading back to the Hendricks mansion? Now I have to check in on that next. No doubt in my mind. Not looking forward to talking to that prick again so soon. Do you know who attended this party? My mother for sure. Perhaps my father? I'd have to ask my sisters if they did, though. I don't know. I just have a few more questions. If you have more questions, then you should be asking me. The men have work to do at closing time. To be continued. Actually, before I continue, I want to look at the notebook because I have never been able to. Aww. Slick fellows. A doll in the basement. It used to belong to Marcy's sister. Her grandma's shroud was in the bed. I have a pretty good idea of what we'd find if we opened it. One of these flowers is definitely mugwort. Actually, what's mugwort? This looks like one of the film roles Murdoch used before. Do I feel like making a mistake? Maybe. Tutti Frutti. The body was in a ditch. Oh my god. The workers at the hip are the best source of information in town. The staff at the hip turned a saloon in the middle of nowhere into a world-famous attraction. Sam needs to sleep more. Maybe Cynthia does too. Like the CGCS employees loyal to the company don't even get along. Some favor James, some favor Briggs. So he's postulating that somebody from the CGCS was the one that put the hit out on Cliff. But made James bleed was funny. Huxley was an alcoholic who needed more money for his drinking habit. I wonder where he was getting the cash. Marcy may know what happened to the gun. According to Reed, Huxley's gun was pawned. Sales records indicate Huxley repurchased it. I should go to the city hall. Harloon gets into fights with James. He usually keeps things professional. Cliff's real name is Cornelius. He claims he does not have his worker's permit. Cliff works with James for the CGCS. A little picture. Cliff claims Reed tries to break into his apartment. Later, was the body found? No, where was the body found? Ask Todd later. Huxley Greene is dead. His body was found frozen, decapitated with ripping force. With ripping force, I mean. Oh, well, that's it. So we finally get to see the notebook. So yeah. So let's go over this. This was a bit traumatizing for anybody that's ever had to have a miscarriage, I suppose, and for anybody that's not into blood and guts and stuff like that. But, I guess you could say the plot thickens in a way. Um, There's still no real clue as to who did it. There is new information as to who may be involved, or at least who, I guess, not ordered the hit, but well, I guess was involved. We know it's probably. I don't want to say it's the mom. It could be the mom, or it could be Murdoch's father, who originally was contracting Huxley It might not even be him. It might be somebody that also has a carriage. But who do we know that has a carriage? And that's somebody that has a car is James the Third. But could you confuse a carriage with a car? Hmm? And he's the only one in town that has a car, and he's very obnoxious about it, and everybody knows it. So, let's see, what else? What else? What else? There's also the gum. Who likes sweet things? We don't know that yet. It might be James. I keep going back to James because he seems like the most likely suspect, but he could also be the red herring. It could actually turn out to be Red Burns or Reed Burns. I forgot what his name is. The dad. I mean, I also suspected that the mom was the one that was responsible for the kids' disappearances, but it might not be her. um, hmm. Because the evidence is pointing at the Burns family now. So who has the most motive to want to get rid of Reed? I guess out of all the people, the one that's most that one that focuses most on appearances is the mom. And I don't think that the father has a mental capacity to do any of this. So I want to pin it on the mom. Oh, I want to say that it's the mom. So we'll have to see. I sincerely doubt it's Murdoch because he's part of the Fab Five. Yeah. Um, let's see. Who else could it be, or what else could be happening? Oh, one thing that I would like to note about the photo, and it's something that I was talking with George about, is that um, you know how the photo that Murdoch showed Sam changes depending on your mood? I'm wondering if perhaps what's happening to William in in relation to what he heard in the cave where he thought there was people there, where he thinks that perhaps the mafia, the mob or whatever is, that he knows that they know that he's there, and that perhaps the picture that Hattie or Haiti, I don't know how to pronounce her name properly, received is actually the influence of Echo, sort of where it's it probably is trying to distract William, and it's using what he is scared of, which is the mafia or mob, whatever it is, to sort of lead him off the course. Because if we recall correctly, in the original story of Echo, where Flynn was so close to finding out what happened to Sydney, it basically it sent everything off the rails to have um basically Chase do what he did. And even in Flynn's own timeline, because I was referring to TJ's right there, um, and this is spoilers, obviously. Um, when eventually he does find out what happened, basically everything just turns around, and what was inside of Chase jumps over to Flynn, and basically it makes him sort of keep Chase safe. And even Flynn is noting like, what the hell is going on? I'm not supposed to be acting like this, or why do I want people to hurt him or stuff like that. But yeah. Mm, so I'm wondering if this is a case of the town basically messing with William in order for him to not be able to solve what's going on. So we'll have to see. At least in that respect of the picture, what's happening with his ex-wife, etc., etc. What else? What else do we talk about in this, build? Mm, I guess nothing much. But yeah, so, write down in the comments what you thought, and, we'll discuss there. So, yeah, so thank you all for watching slash listening. If you would like to play the Smoke Room yourself, you can find it over on itch. And if you would like to support the Echo Project along with all, you know, which supports, the Smoke Room and every other Echo project out there, which, includes the Ad Astra Interia, Arches, and Glory Hounds, um, you can do so by, subscribing to their Patreon, and you get early access to all the builds of those stories along with some, behind the scenes things. You get to see little things here and there that the normal people don't get to. Yeah. Anywho, so would I guess that's it, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.